everybody. This is Thomas. I know it says the thing down there, but that's from our previous podcast. We'll get into it here in a second. I'm Thomas. I'm here with Mike. We're the first, the last, the Nerdom. How are things, Mike?
Pretty good. I had a very exciting last week or so, and we've got a lot on our plate to catch up on, and some bonus things to share. And we are also they're two really good movies that we probably are both going to go see here in the next short time. I think when does the Guardians come? I think Guardians got to come out soon, but anyway, there's that. And then,
just a little bit away. Yeah.
Yeah, John Wick 2 is what I was, or John Wick 4.
John
Wick 4, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so lots to look forward to and lots to cover. And I am Mike, like Thomas said, and this is the first, last, the Nerdom. We would implore you to please humbly consider subscribing to our channel on YouTube. We've got 37 subscribers, so thank you guys for subscribing. If you're new here, oh, excuse me. Oh, I just showed that I'm human. Oops. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, we got quite a few videos amassed. It's always fun to kind of look back. Check out our top 3.
I dare you to find something that you're not at least a little interested in and want to check out. We've kind of covered the spectrum of comic books, movies, either big name movies, small ones, B movies, Z movies. We've talked to writers, which we talked to one last week. We talked to Scott Dyson. And we picked up a few subscribers from that, and it did quite well as far as views. So hats off for Scott for helping us out on the channel and bringing some maybe some new eyes to our channel. We're definitely want to get it. Well, we do this as a kind of a love of just doing it, but we're not going to complain if we grow to where we have a regular audience that comes back week to week to check us out, which I believe a few of you do. So we definitely appreciate you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I just wanted to say, if you're new and you want to dive into our back catalog or look, I guarantee you'll find something in the first 4 rows because it's just such a shotgun of of shows that we've done over the last thing. But we encourage you to go back and look. And we continue to get polished. And also, I was going to say we got this be the last promoting thing, and then we'll jump in. B-. So we were like a C something or other, C+ or something.
We're a C+, yeah.
Yeah,
and it looked like we were edging our way up to B-. There's a lot of channels that have been around forever that are C and D. So I was just saying someone was kind of blasting another creator for dropping down so far, and they were a D. And I was thinking, well, we're B-. We're moving on up. Now, I don't know. Yeah, like Mike said in a previous video, I don't know what the B- means, how it's calculated. No clue. I think it's all kind of maybe based on our growth, our extrapolates our growth as far as views and subscribers. So it didn't hurt that we had a good week last week as far as views and subscribers. So. And again, hats off to you. We couldn't do that without the audience there.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, here I've got a thing playing in the background here. I had to close.
and the thing that we promise to you is that we'll try our darndest to give you something cool to look at, and we make give you our hot takes, or and bring you some cool news, maybe something you hadn't heard yet. We're here for you. We're trying to cater to your needs, but also kind of stay within the realm of the stuff that's cool with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was gonna say to jump in here. I was gonna say was gonna go with cover some of the more disappointing things in kind of a resurgence or whatever, if that's cool. I saw you. I think you shared this.
And this is sort of a follow-up to our previous grab bag, where we talked about Justin Roiland and we when everybody else was blasting Justin Roiland and kind of lambasting her, we took the more even kill approach of hey, let's wait and see, let's see what happens.
Right.
And we weren't gasping and hollering when Adult Swim and the Rick and Morty kicked him off their projects. I kind of looked at it as sort of a mutual thing, and since he was a major player within it, and even if he's fired from it, he still has an invested interest, and I think that he's grown up enough to know that if I step away, it's only going to help the product. At this point, I have this bad PR. It's better to step away so that the product doesn't get tarnished with his name. So, and then so this follow up, the case has been dismissed.
Yeah, he got cleared. Whatever they thought they had or whatever, it wasn't there. He still has, I think, some underage text things out there, but that's in the realm of public opinion. But this is one of those things. Even let's just say that he gets clear and everything's fine. It's hard to come back in from the cold.
No, absolutely,
like
absolutely.
Once they shut you out, I mean, look at Gina Carano with like a pretty, I don't know, very generic tweet that everybody and their brother has retweeted on both both teams or whatever sides you want to call it, whatever, or real or imagined, as I like to say. But I would hope that you would hope that people would be patient, but the fact is that I don't know that I don't see him coming back on anytime soon.
No, I think if he ever does, he's going to take some time off and let things settle. He's going to probably take the temperature after a year or so, and whether or not he steps back in, and he may, he's I know he stepped away from his companies, but he may be able to step back in quietly later on. They don't have to promote that like his video game company that he started. You would think that he would want to step back into that at one point. But I think he'll take a much more quieter role in things. Again, we're not making any judgment as far as his of the allegations or any of that stuff. I have no clue what's going on, and and as a judge of a person, I'm not here to judge people. We talked about John Byrne and Fantastic Four in our podcast. That's why my name's the thing right now. I forgot to change it back to Thomas, but hey, I'll be the thing for another episode. But during his run as a comic book writer and artist, John Byrne, I heard rumors that he was difficult to work with, all this stuff. But I think you have to separate the product from the creator. There's some stuff that some stories and writing that I absolutely love, but the from what I hear of the person, they sound pretty horrendous to me. But there's I guess good things that can come from bad people. And it's and again, I'm not passing any judgment over Justin Roiland. I'm not. I haven't investigated it. I'm I am not involved in the court case, so I have no clue what was actually involved in that.
Yeah, everybody has their line, like for like where they're like where it's too much. Like if it's political or something, I really don't. I turn a blind eye to it. And I even hold a different opinion. In like the modern day nerd herd would like really gallop all over you and stampede you if you say something positive about Seth Rogen. He's like the lovable idiot to hate of the moment, so to speak, like that rotates through. But I don't really see that. I don't really care as long as you're making semi good, decent quality work. Who cares? The only my line is anything involving kids that is substantiated and real. Then I kind of it's kind of like a point of no return for me personally. But that's because I'm a dad and like I'm a little bit more sensitive to that, and I don't like and I'm not going to get into it, but
Yeah, and
if we
if
cover it, we cover it. Otherwise, it's better
yeah,
just not to say anything and just not give it any
right.
attention. Just move
Yeah,
on.
and
But
if you're involved in mass genocide, that's probably an out for us as well. But
oh yeah,
but yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Just things that are over the
yeah,
edge.
yeah,
So like, but
absolutely.
the thing is,
Hmm.
you always try to. I try to be a little bit. You try to take a little bit longer to get upset about something. If somebody says something, it's like, well,
Right.
hold on. Maybe they have a point, or
Yeah.
I agree with
Yeah, and
it, but
I just wanted to
you go.
point out that all of the internet had already convicted him and thrown away the book, and I was the one that I was one of the lone people that said, "Hey, let's wait and see," and sure enough, it got dismissed. I was right.
Oh, yeah, well, it's so funny too. It's almost like a Seinfeld episode because like it's like, okay, well, how long do we have to wait for society to excommunicate this person? And then like kind of like Louis C.K. I remember back when like his stuff kicked off, and then it's like a
Hmm.
few months later, like probably closer to a year later, it's like, can we post? Can we can we like him again?
Right. Yep. Yep. Yep.
But it just takes time, and I'm
Hmm.
sure he'll be back. If he doesn't have any other things
Yeah. I mean, if he's
stacked trying
actually
to take him out.
if he's actually a decent person, if he's if all the rumors and whatnot is true, he's going to have an uphill challenge to get back. And everybody can change. So maybe if there's something deeply wrong with him as far as his personality and his attitudes towards life, maybe he'll have a kind of come to Jesus moment and reevaluate himself.
Absolutely. Yep. Sorry, I messed it up. Yep. Rick and Morty. Yep. Yeah, and moving on to that similarly topic. This kind of broke not too long ago, but Jonathan
Oh, well,
Majors was did you hear about this?
no, I hadn't heard about it. No.
Oh, geez. Oh, wow. Well, this happened like maybe a few days ago, but basically
Hmm.
over the weekend something happened. I believe he called the cops. They came, and then he was the one that got arrested. And then basically his lawyer said the same thing, much as Justin Roiland's lawyer said, "Hold on, guys. You don't know the facts. When we get to the facts, you're gonna see that it's not what he was accused of is very, very no territory for people. People have a
Hmm.
very short leash. I can remember a dozen things, situations like
Hmm.
this in the past. But anyway, Jonathan Majors, who is the Kang the Conqueror on Disney
Hmm.
Marvel. So
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
he's also in Lovecraft Country, that show on HBO that had one season. He's a great actor. He's one of the up and coming actors that I enjoy watching. So yeah, hopefully things turn out. Hopefully the truth comes out, and whatever it is, it is. Like I said, good things come from bad people and good people too. So yeah, yeah, that's kind of a surprise, but
Yeah, I think that we'll see, and I think his I don't it might not be in the theaters anymore, but Creed 3 is out. I think right
hmm.
now, but he's in. I think he
Yeah.
plays the antagonist. I
Hmm.
think I'm not for sure on that, but
Yeah.
I'm not. I haven't watched any of those modern Creed
No,
ones,
I
but yeah,
hadn't. I hadn't either.
I was gonna say switching over from here, and we kind of talked about it a little bit. That I might as well throw this in here in the mix while we're talking as a segue story to go down if that's cool. But
Hmm.
um, John Wick 4 is out in theaters. Apparently, it is breaking breaking necks and cashing checks as
Hmm.
as things go. Very hyped. I don't know about you, but I'm going to see this coming weekend when I get some time.
You
Do you
know,
have any
y-
plans to go see it at all?
yeah, I'm real tempted. I've kind of gotten comfortable with my home theater, so
Oh, for sure.
I'm very reluctant to go out and see a movie, but this one might tempt me out of my cave to check it out. Also, I was watching something, forget what it was, but they were talking about how um, people don't go to movies anymore to see a star. norm. There's this the star attraction isn't there anymore. It's more like the franchise or the character. But I don't think that's true with Keanu Reeves. I think
No.
when he comes out with something, everybody perks up and wants to know about it. And he's one of those few that still has that star power to him.
Yep, he is one of the. Of course, they're always rare. Your heyday, you might have quite a few of them. Just depends on the generation, like Brad Pitt or the other guy, Tom Cruise. That
Yeah,
is who has in recent memory been at the. Oh, that's another point too. Is I'm going to go see it. But Mission Impossible, whatever the hell it's called, I
hmm
don't know. It's
Yep.
like the 20th one. I'm kind of joking, but that's one that like where
Yep.
it's
I'm
not a.
waiting for the article to let us know what he broke for this one.
Oh yeah.
Is it his foot again or his hand?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. But it's never, it's not an Oscar friggin' movie. It is a
No.
classic action, you know, uh, romp. And I've come to love those.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. So you got John Wick, and last year you had um, Top Gun Maverick.
Yep.
Everybody wants a good action movie. They want a good classic action movie that kind of elevates itself. They don't want an action movie by the numbers, so to speak. They want it a little flashy. But Top Gun Maverick. From I haven't seen it, but from what I hear, it has a quality story to it, but also doesn't skimp on the action. And
Right.
I think John Wick, maybe less as far as story, but much more on the action and the comic book aspects of it. It's just like a big, flashy action comic
It,
book that
it,
you can turn your brain off and kind of watch.
it plays very well in the media that it's made for. It plays
Mm-hmm.
perfectly.
Yeah, and it has
That's why you have four, and each one I think has iteratively earned even more money than the last, which is
uh-huh.
very unusual with like a
Mm-hmm.
sequel upon sequel upon sequel. Usually it
Yeah.
nosedives.
Yeah, yeah, and to keep the cool thing also about John Wick is that it's not the same movie every time. It I guess it's similar each time, but it goes deeper into the lore of John Wick and the underworld, and
Right,
people are intrigued by it. They haven't made a misstep yet as far as how they're creating and expanding out this world
right.
that John Wick lives in. Now, if you took John Wick out and was it just kind of focused on the underworld, I don't think you would have something. You really need that
Nah,
charisma of Keanu Reeves' John Wick character in there. But they were smart to kind of expand it out and tell a bigger story each time, so that you had that sense of it being bigger. As opposed to it being that's kind of still small kind of story. You'd probably get bored with it, but the fact that they're kind of expanding the world out, it just makes it feel bigger and more interesting as it goes along.
yeah, and this was a pretty good article. Like that, I echo. The only other things I would add would be, know your audience, play to your audience. That is a strength, not a weakness. Don't fight your audience.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Yep.
don't make the thing like the fact is. I think
Don't
this whole.
shame your audience either. Don't shame
Oh
them.
yeah, don't pick fights with the. Yeah, just don't do that. Like just don't do anything kind of negative between the thing. Ignore it if anything. But yeah, and don't prime your. That's a whole other thing. I won't get into it. But the other thing I wanted to say was that this kind of snuck in the shadow of all the Marvels, Star
Mm-hmm.
Wars stuff, the other stuff that's out there that you just see
Mm-hmm.
repeatedly. He's kind of like Keanu's kind of had like this really nice, warm, always blooming persona that is just wholesome and whatnot, like
Mm-hmm.
whereas like other actors have gone through it, some kind of tabloid something big.
Mm-hmm.
Keanu Reeves is not that guy, and he's just
Mm-hmm.
fun to see. It doesn't, again, it doesn't take it too seriously. It plays it pretty straight. I don't recall ever being bored during these movies. Actually, what it reminds me of a lot is the Bourne. Bourne series, like, which is another fun one too, which played out pretty well. Yeah, I think John Wick is even more successful than those, to be honest. But
Oh yeah,
all the same,
absolutely.
yeah, we miss the having these action movies, and it would be nice to have to not be beat over the head with something new that sucks. You know, what I was gonna say, I saw this just a little bit ago, and actually breaking today, and there might be a new X-Files from. I don't know.
Is it
There's,
from the article? Is it a reboot, or are you having the David Duchovny and Gillian
I think
Anderson
it's a.
back?
I think it's a reboot.
Yeah.
It's going to be a completely new line in
Hmm.
the sand for that. So I mean,
Hmm.
you know what? I mean, X Files always kind of came on the scene, like where I don't, but it always kind of had that feeling of In Search of kind of thing with Leonard Nimoy, like way back when, but a little
Yep.
bit more,
Well,
whatever.
at the core of it is those two characters. You have all
Right.
these, you have it's sort of like throwing a couple of characters into an episode of the Twilight Zone,
Yeah.
so to speak. And so the idea, the creature of the week, or the idea, the strange idea of the week, is cool. But when you add in some engaging characters into that, it brings it to a whole new level. And that's what the X Files did. This reboot, with new characters, or maybe the same characters but with different actors, it really relies on who you put into those roles. If
Oh
they
yeah.
work as a duo, you really have to kind of maybe reference the previous actors, but give them their own style. It really kind of boils down to whether or not those two characters are engaging, much
Yeah.
like that reboot of Men in Black. That those actors they got in. What was it? Chris Helmsworth. I forget the other person's name.
I don't know. I
Um,
to be honest with
they
you, I completely
yeah,
skipped over it.
yeah, I did too, because they weren't engaging to me. If they had
Right.
gotten some actors that were engaging in those roles, not that those actors were bad. I enjoy those actors' work, but they just didn't work in those roles. So again, you have to find some people that will actually work. And I'm not making any judgment of who those have to be, because again, FBI agents, you could put any two people in there, especially if you're not going to have them be Mulder and Scully. Have them be two different new agents.
Yeah.
As
They
long as you make engaging characters, and have actors that can embody those characters,
right.
it could be interesting.
They need to find their own energy, their own mojo. And it's basically
Hmm.
about the two main characters, and then you
Hmm.
kind of go along these things.
Yep.
And there's plenty of supernatural, metaphysical, whatever unknowns
Hmm.
that you want to dive into nowadays for really good, rich kind of that kind of sort of X File
Hmm.
vibe thing. Like I mean, good God, we just came from a pandemic world, whatever. Anyway, moving on. Yeah,
Hmm.
this was like I don't know. They have been out for a while, but then again, I do like the original X Files movie. It's kind of making me want to watch it. Maybe we'll watch it
Yeah.
at some
Yeah.
point.
I
But
mean, yeah,
anyway,
yeah, and like Stephen King says, whenever they say they messed up your book. I was like, no, it's the book's still on the shelf. That movie is its own thing. So yeah, they haven't messed up the X Files. We still have the X Files on your streaming services, and on your shelf if you have the DVDs of them. So yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say I just kind of I slipped this one in real quick, but it's one that I think we're probably gonna return to. We'll probably
Hmm.
end up going back and covering season two. I would of
Yeah.
Strange New Worlds
Yep.
when it comes out, but it's on deck, and I think that it is in part because I just saw the headline. I didn't read it, but it was something about Alex Kurtzman got re-upped for some of the stuff, and
Hmm.
Lower Decks is one of them, and Strange New Worlds. Looking forward to that. Picard season three is out.
Hmm.
I'm in skip mode, but I've heard people enjoy it, much
Yeah.
like
Yeah. A
people
lot of
enjoyed
people are enjoying.
Andor. Yeah, as a surprise kind of
Hmm.
thing, which
Yeah.
is
The
great.
Red Letter
Or
Media has been really enjoying it. So.
Yeah,
And
more
they're
power
the
to them.
one of the toughest critics.
Yeah, and Nerdrotic too. Nerdrotic too. Like he was pretty much like on. It was we were on the same boat, and then he was like, "Yeah, I'll give it a shot." Then he did. And I think he's covered it too. But in any case, it's out there. But the Strange New Worlds, I'm looking forward to see what they do with
Mhm.
that. It'll be really fun, like to see a more matured version of that.
Mhm.
Typically, this is always classic Trek, and this is why I say that this one hit all the right feels, but did its own kind of thing. But in
Mhm.
a believable format that was not like Discovery, like where you're like, I don't know, I'm just making
Mhm.
fun, like 10 years before the original Enterprise or some crap like that. And it's like this other
Mhm.
thing. And then all of a sudden they're in the future, and this is like, no, I'm good.
Yep.
I'm good, dude. But like
Yeah.
the first season of Strange New Worlds, I think was a little bit better than the average,
Mhm.
typically
Yeah.
not so great season of Trek.
Mhm.
Usually it takes a long time to warm up to get there.
Mhm.
And shout out to our back catalog. We covered. Thomas had never seen the in entirety season one of the Next Generation, so
Yeah,
we have
it
those
was a
up.
nice double dose because I was yeah, like Mike said, I watched the first season of Next Generation for the first time, so I was getting all that classic Trek, and then Strange New Worlds started coming out towards the end of our watch of it. So I was like, well, I was already in a Trek mood. I was like, well, I'll give that a try. And Strange New Worlds clicked with me with Star Trek in a way that I haven't had it click in a long time.
Absolutely.
It just felt right. And I don't know if it was because I was in the mood from the Next Generation or how great the that show is as far as the Strange New Worlds. But yeah, yeah, I definitely, if you haven't checked out Strange New Worlds, I would definitely recommend it. I definitely enjoyed it, and from someone that hasn't enjoyed Star Trek in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's good news. And then I was gonna say, did you want to cover this, or did you want me to cover something a little bit lighter?
I can touch on it. It just
Yeah, sure.
yeah, I just saw that this today, so I threw it out there. Brandon Sanderson, he's a fantasy writer. Um, he um, he famously finished Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time when Jordan passed away. Brandon was selected to finish that series.
Oh wow.
He's also got several series of his own. I read the first book of his 10-book series. I forget the name of it. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. I just there were like a 10-book series that were 1,000 each, were 1,000 pages. So
Wow.
after the first book, I needed a breather, and getting a second one is always being 1,000 pages is kind of daunting. So I haven't gone back. But yeah, there it's just kind of fun fantasy, and evidently this kind of covers a writer who was writing an article about him, and he actually hung out
Mm.
with him. And with the article, he just took upon himself to kind of bash uh, Sanderson's religion. He's a Mormon, and saying
Right.
he's kind of like an egomaniac. They thinks of himself as a god. And if you look at some of there's some I think Brandon Sanderson has has a YouTube channel where he gives like seminars and he talks about his writing and stuff. He seems like the most down to earth guy imaginable. I can't see him being this egomaniac, and he has fans that absolutely love him. And the article also bashes his fans as being overly white, cis white males, being the
Yeah.
dude bro guys.
Anytime you see garbage like that, and just and me and Thomas, we don't. If anything, we give very bland, factual observations of reality,
hmm
like according to every
hmm
person, every human.
hmm
Like when you see like articles like it's kind of like all it is one, it's clickbait, and two, it's meant to keep get people riled up or get the wrong, get people kind of poking the bear a little bit. And I know
Mhm.
I should know because I occasionally will throw out a grenade and see what happens. Nothing horrible, but it's kind of like when they start talking like that, like when they start using alternative, other words, or or
Yeah.
or new speak
Mhm.
type words. It's like, no, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Mhm.
No, no, thank
Yep.
you. No, like
Yeah.
leave the poor guy alone. And you know
Right.
what? Uh, uh here's the ultimate end to this thing. They might get a little bit of a boost from this in the short term, but I promise you, in the long term, nerds and people there are fans that read these kind of books have a very long memory, and they will never
Mhm.
forget.
Mhm.
And then if you double, so if you call them out or double down and
Yep.
you attack the fans, just stop doing that. We just kind of covered
Yep.
this a little bit.
Yeah. And
Don't do that. Stop doing
mhm.
that, guys. Like,
Mhm.
you guys need to knock it off. But
Yeah,
oh well, I mean,
yeah, yeah. Come on,
whatever.
guys. Come on, guys. But but yeah, and it's also another thing is who's this article for that this guy's writing, because he's not going to change the mind of the fans, especially since he's making fun of and saying these bad things about the fans. So basically, it's for, I guess, the detractors for Brandon Sanderson. And how many of those are out there? I mean, if you don't like Brandon Sanderson,
Huh.
you go on with your day. You don't. I don't think there's a thing called hate watching. I don't think there's a thing as far as hate reading. I don't think anyone would invest in reading a book that they hate. So
No, not
so
this.
I
Well,
don't know. Yeah.
right off the bat in the article, they were talking about how much money he makes. Like as if to like cast a greedy light upon this person who
Right. Who cares? I
is.
mean, Stephen King makes tons of money. It's like, yeah, and I think a lot of people are jealous because Brandon Sanderson had that Kickstarter for his books that made $40 million. Um, one of the most successful Kickstarters ever for a book. That's the book I read, The Way of the Kings. Yeah, it's but yeah, I mean, those people that love like just big epic fantasies, yeah, who are they hurting? I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
let the fans have what they want. I mean, are you wanting to destroy this man, or what is the goal of the article? Do you want him to
right,
destroy them to make the fans wake up and start reading whatever
right,
important work that you think they should be reading? I mean,
right.
it's all about what you want to do. I mean, I kind of got, when I was younger, and I started thinking, well, maybe I should start reading stuff that is important and stuff. And I started, a lot of stuff I found boring, and I realized, why am I reading it? I should be reading stuff that I enjoy, and if it changes me or makes me a better person, hey, that's great. But I'm not reading for the world. I'm reading for myself,
Right.
and might as well read something that's important to me, or at least makes me feel good, or does something that is important to me, as opposed to again, it's a personal thing. When you read, you can't read for the world, and you can't impress the world with what you read.
Well, all
Or
the
you
more
shouldn't.
reason. All the more reason. Like, like I was perusing the article, and you can't even read it. Whatever. No, I could force the issue, but why? Like
Yeah,
they obviously wrote this for like whatever. You can even.
yeah.
It's kind of useless if you're gonna like. If your whole point is to get maximum attention and you put it behind a paywall, okay. I mean, you can
Well,
do that.
that's a good point. You answered my question as far as who they wrote for. In the article, that review, or that article about the article, said that Brandon Sanderson was trying to be a god and create a cult of his
Right.
readers, whereas that's maybe not true about Brandon, but it's true about Wired. They're writing to their their loyal cult readers of their of their magazine online. their Wired cult. It's like, oh, look at this person, you should hate him
Right.
because of
Haters.
X, Y, Z. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. But
So
yeah, it's just yeah.
so anyway, that means that it's probably a really good really good author, and you should probably go check out his stuff and spend
Yeah,
money.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, oh, Disney. Uh, looks like Disney is really not in good straits, as we're covering the
No.
news here. Yeah, and this has kind of been rolling and percolating up. And we've touched on it here in the last few weeks, but boy, I honestly I kind of thought that it would take a little bit longer for this to happen. And what I mean is like there's fatigue, whatever you want to call it. There's not widespread adoption, and essentially like Disney has fallen back into like old habits, I guess, because again, like they've had a massive library of IP, and they manage it very well. And they back in the day with the VHS, you would have a Disney. I think I watched a documentary about how they did it, and then how it transferred from there to Eisner in the 90s, et cetera, and then it handed off to Iger, and the Iger's been like this. Uh, I who knows? But they're not doing so great.
No, no. I think they just have to. Yeah, the Disney has gone through ups and downs. They'll figure it out. I mean, they're this huge company. I think as far as a company, they went with different approaches. If you go throughout the year, Disney hasn't been didn't have a singular vision past Walt Disney. And once Walt Disney went on, whoever was in charge of things, it was their vision. So the current vision isn't working. Bob Iger's taken over, and we'll see if he can right the sails. Who knows? I know uh, Bob Iger was previously in charge of things, and that's when things were going well, but they started to steer off a little bit during his reign, but was handed off to Bob Chapek, and then things went off the deep end. So we'll see if Bob Iger has learned from the lessons that uh, that happened while he was away. See if he could right the sails, so to speak. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how things shake up. And again, with film, TV, and various things, things are in the pipeline, so you won't really see the changes that are made today. Won't be present till like maybe a year or so out.
Oh yeah,
'Cause-
these are
Mhm.
big moves, just like Zaslav and Gunn. Whenever they come on board, yeah, there's some cutting they can do, or they can trim here or cut here or whatever. But it's going to take for their vision, their projects to come to fruition. But this is the exact opposite of that, because they're cutting so much.
Yeah,
From
they're and this is probably why you're seeing articles where they say they're pushing back various shows of Marvel and Star Wars back. They're probably reevaluating what they want to, obviously what they want to greenlight going forward, but also they need to pace out what they have, I guess, to keep the IP going while they get the projects they want to go forward, in motion. So they can't like just pump out all this stuff for content's
Right.
sake. They need to sparse it out as they figure out what they want to do and get that out within in the next then the coming years.
Yeah, they have a lot. And the thing is that the streaming thing is it's funny, because I don't think any one of these companies, other than maybe Netflix, has really cracked the code, so to speak. Because Netflix has some ups and downs, and they're kind of tightening the belt here or there. But Disney, the thing is, I don't think they really are making any additional income when you have a smaller series, it's only Disney Plus exclusive. I don't think it generates quite the amount of money that they are used to.
Right.
But
Yeah.
and really, and the most positive thing I can say is, like, hopefully they'll learn their lesson and they'll figure it out, and they'll knock off the silly
Mhm.
season things,
Yeah.
just or the
Yep.
low content, low quality
Mhm.
kind of thing,
Yeah.
and they would just return
Yep.
to quality, for quality's
Yeah.
sake. And not.
Yeah, and just to, I know you've dipped out of Disney as far as Disney Plus for now. All I can say is, yeah, the final 2 episodes of the Star Wars Bad Batch season 2 comes out. I guess we're going to release this on Wednesday, so it'll come out today. But I've really, really, really enjoyed this season of the Bad Batch. Quality stuff. If you like classic Star Wars, you're going to like the Bad Batch. It's all about friendship, family, and telling some great stories. Some better than the others. There's some that is like I could probably do without, but there's some really quality stories going on here. You can contrast that with this new season of The Mandalorian, which is just basically the Grogu show. They need to just rename it as the Grogu show and have done with it.
The
It's like,
Grogu
hey, look
puppet
at
show.
me. I'm little Grogu. I'm doing wacky things.
I was waiting for you to say wacky.
Yeah, yeah, I could flip around and fight Mandalorians. But yeah,
People fight. Ha. Yeah, I saw
yeah. So
clips of it.
yeah, so yeah. What they, I think what they're, I'm not in their heads, and I don't know. I haven't talked to them, but what I think they had in mind was have the first couple of seasons, which were pretty good, hand Grogu off to Luke, and then maybe follow Grogu on a different show, but have then have these adventures with the Mandalorian, some really cool adventure stories, reminiscent of westerns and whatnot, with him going solo, which would have been really cool. But I think
Yeah.
the execs were like, oh, but the Mandalorian, you can't have Grogu. The Mandalorian has to have Grogu with him, and I think they were saddled with, okay, well, we have to do something with Grogu now, and work them together. And I don't know if their heart's not into it, or they've just lost that magic that happened in the first 2 seasons. But yeah, it's just not working right now. There is a kind of a secondary story about the Mandalorians and their planet, and with Bo-Katan, which is interesting. I kind of like that. But yeah, half the time you're kind of dealing a third of the time with that, but you have a third to 2/3 of it being the Grogu show. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
I've only heard broad contrast, like that
Hmm.
cover, kind of like a recap of the seasons of The Mandalorian, what worked and what didn't, and I even had this discussion with my brother-in-law.
Hmm.
And basically it's like kind of when you get to like it was very organic and it caught fire and it was good, and then it's just kind of like season 2 came out and it was kind of like I've heard the criticism cameo of the week. I didn't really get that feeling, but definitely toward the end, like when they showed Luke Skywalker, it was definitely fan service. And at first I was really excited about that, but then as time has kind of gone on, I've kind of like I look back at that moment and I become, it makes me very cynical. Because like you have the other criticism has been, so you have season 1 and 2, and they have the build up and the handoff, and then here we are in season 3, we just undid all that stuff.
Yeah, and
It's
another
just like,
person.
what the hell are we doing?
Yeah,
Which like, yeah.
I also saw another person complain, Sean from Mega 64 on their podcast. He complained because he didn't watch Book of Boba Fett, and
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
a couple of the episodes of that kind of explained what was going on with the Grogu and put him back with the Mandalorian. And And then the season 3 comes of Mandalorian. They don't reference that. He's just back. So he's
Right.
like, why are you making me watch a show I don't want to watch to find out what's going on with the show that I want to watch? And yeah, he's I'm done with it. So unfortunately, I think a lot of fans are that way. And from the what I hear about viewership, it's down. So I think it's a mix of people that watched Book of Boba Fett and were bored by it, like me, and decided not to carry on, and those that didn't watch it and then is now confused and kind of disappointed that they have to go back and watch some season of a show that they don't want to watch.
Right. Yeah. I'm right there with you. I kind of stepped off the train a little bit earlier than now, but that's what I've heard. And maybe they'll turn around, whatever. But to be honest with you, like, I don't really give a shit about Bo-Katan, and I don't really give a shit about the other Mandalorians because you've driven me to not give a shit. Because like, and the first season has some really cool stuff, like the IG-88 or something like that, robot, like that was kind of cool, like they did. But again, it doesn't have the same magic in the fire, what I've heard. But maybe you like it, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that too. It's just kind of mid, I guess, is what I've heard.
Yeah, the only plus side that I could say of it is that the episodes are between 35 and 40 minutes. So yeah, so yeah, I mean, I could throw on an episode of The Mandalorian and do something else while I watch it, kind of half watch it, and yeah, that's fine. It's not a deep story, so so I'll keep up with it. But yeah, if it was like a hour and 15-minute show, I would definitely kind of probably dip out.
Yeah, like they have like a couple of shows that they're probably going to drop, but like the Acolytes, and then there's another one. Like,
yeah, the Acolytes. I have no interest in that one.
I don't even care.
Yeah, I
don't even know what it is. I don't know, and I don't care.
Yeah, the name's not exciting. I haven't heard what it's about.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard some distant grumblings or complaints about it, but I don't know.
As a fan, I feel like I'm kind of done being milked out. It's kind of like
I'm more excited about original shows that are coming out. I just finished watching a crazy show on Netflix called Copenhagen Cowboy, which is done by Nicholas Refn. He did Drive and Neon Demon. He's sort of, I think, a modern day kind of David Lynch kind of guy. He doesn't ape David Lynch. He has his own style, kind of 80s techno, bright neon kind of look to things. And it's a story about this woman that has these special healing powers and a family that maybe are vampires. It's a crazy show. Yeah, if you're into like really weird stuff, you might enjoy it. But I was really engaged with that one. There's another show on Prime Video called Swarm. It's by Donald Glover, who's
I've heard that's good.
Yeah, that one's
I've
crazy. It's a kind of a horror TV show about a serial killer, and man, it's interesting. I'm about 2 episodes in, and that's another show that's between the 30 to 40 minute mark for how long the episodes are. So they're in and out, but they're totally engaging and very exciting. Very much like his other series, Atlanta. If you haven't seen that, definitely check that one out as well.
You mentioned that repeatedly, and I have it on my list, and I need to rotate through it sooner because I've heard it's really good, and I know you have very good taste, so I'm gonna have to check that one out here sooner than later.
Yeah,
I kind of like to have like a list, a backlog, like that I can always dip into. Like, of
course,
we both talk about this. Like, we really don't want to waste our time watching something we're not. So it has love or nor hate. It's just like time.
Right?
Like,
yeah,
you only
absolutely.
have so much time to enjoy. Anyway,
yeah, back in the day, that was when all you had was primetime television. There was always the complaint, I don't have anything to watch, and then now it's I've got too much to watch.
Right, and not only that, but there's other genres too that you'll spin across too.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about that show, Yellow Jackets.
Okay.
which I haven't watched because I've got a lot of shows to watch, but also it's on Showtime. How many streaming services do I need to subscribe to?
Wow, wow. Yeah, and then one of our more sad stories, speaking of comic books,
Yeah.
which shout out to our last episode, which you'll be able to see after the show, but or if you want, if you can, where we go through John Byrne's about 6 episodes of some classic, just dip the spoon into classic John Burns with Fantastic Four. But anyway, related to that, those comic books and that back in the day, and Golden Age and Silver Age and all this. So this one, so the Hall of Heroes in Elkhart, Indiana. It's like a comic book museum. I take it.
Yeah, it's the only comic book museum from what the article says. And yeah, some couple of jerks broke in and stole a bunch of comic books. About I think it said about 50 comic books. It's
That's what I
just
saw.
really sad. I mean, it's a freaking museum, and and it's a lot of like irreplaceable ones. Like a lot of them
Right.
were signed as well. And it's also stupid because don't you know that they had these cataloged, and when you go to resell these, you're going to be found out. I mean,
I
so,
would just I mean they're not going to see it. It's not going to happen. But I would say it's not too late to go take them back. Just
yeah,
anonymously drop them back
yeah.
off, and maybe you get off. Maybe you don't get arrested or whatever. But like, just give them back.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be good. But
Mm-hmm.
hope springs eternal. But that's not going to happen. Yeah.
Right.
What are you? You're not going to sell them on the black market. Like, I don't know if you know this or not, but comic books as a collectible is really a dicey gamble. That you have to really know what you're doing, and even then, it's just like any other thing, it fluctuates, and plus depends on if people have money to spend. So anyway, give it back. So I was gonna say, I think we're ready to go through our recommendations for YouTube.
Oh, there was the
or
there was the article about the Last Ronin.
the last round. Oh yeah, team. Yep.
Yeah, just a quick one. I think last year or the year before, the Last Ronin comic book series came out, which is now has been collected together as a graphic novel. Definitely check it out. It's a futuristic story. It's the future of the Mutant Ninja Turtles, written by the creators, Eastman and Laird, the original creators of the Mutant Turtles, reunites for the first time in a long time to write the story. It's about the very last Mutant Ninja Turtle after the rest of them have died, and it's about his final revenge on the Foot. So the Foot Clan. This article is about them turning that into a video game, which
Nice.
which will have a mature theme. I know there's been a resurgence of games that are in the classic Ninja Turtles vein, but this one sounds like it'll be more kind of a realistic sort of God of War type story. And I think the game will be much like God of War, which would be really cool. I would definitely look forward to that. Sounds cool, and if it's done right, and it has a great story as far as the comic book to tell the story, the framework of the story, I think it'll be really cool.
Yeah, and this is also Nintendo adjacent too, and that's big this year because Nintendo's ready to break out a new Mario movie with Chris Pratt and some other people out there. So yeah, this is cool. I always looking for a good video game. Unfortunately, it's very, very rare for a video game to come to the big screen or the other way around. So something happens in licensing or EA sucks. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But kind of. But yeah. Anyway, moving on to our. I don't know if you wanted me to do this one first or if you wanted me to do the other.
Both of them are the same person. So I thought
Gotcha.
I would touch upon both of them. But yeah, Turkey Tom and Tom Dark, same guy. He does sort of commentary style stuff where he talks about current internet drama.
That's
On
cool. That's cool.
Yeah, on his Tom Dark channel, he does really quick sort of quick quick little commentaries about various things, whereas his Turkey Time channel is more sort of longer content, which he deals with. It takes a little bit more time to come out with. That he does a little bit more as far as editing and putting together a better, kind of more refined, sort of polished package. Whereas Tom Dark is sort of like down and dirty. Let me get the story out, so that current story out, so that everybody knows about it, kind of thing. And the thing about Turkey Tom, he has this Degenerate series, which the guy is younger. He's like 20 or 21. So he has a different sensibility, obviously, than you or me, Mike. So and he obviously appeals towards a younger audience. But I find he has a very interesting take. He's very much about free speech. He's very much interested in kind of making his generation better as people. But he also he has this series called Degenerates. If you scroll up, I think he always has like a Wojak image for them, like the degenerates, losers and creepos. As far as the in the Brony community and the Roblox community. So I know our audience is a little older, but say if you have kids like you, Mike, and if the kids are kind of like into Roblox, you might want to kind of watch one of his videos on how these degenerates get involved and how they interact with kids. And
unfortunately, Roblox has been, and it's been a thing for years. Like where you just have to be, you just want to make sure your youngins out there have good online hygiene and awareness, safety, and all that to be concerned about. For sure, it's always going to be a thing.
Yeah. So if you're kind of interested in the bad side of the internet or the internet drama, he's a good place to kind of check things out. Also, on his Tom Dark channel, I was going to recommend a particular video. The one he dropped today, EDP. If you're familiar with his saga, that one's just disgusting. But yeah, the one I was going to talk about is the IDUBBBZ and ANISA creator clash drama. I've been kind of involved with this. I don't know if you remember a kind of a rapper, a YouTube rapper from back in the day called Froggy Fresh. He's this guy. He has a song called "The Baddest." I'm the baddest. But yeah, he's, you might want to check him out. He's kind of a little bit of an edgelord, a little bit of a memester troll. And his online persona is sort of like a the kind of southern hick that may be a little bit stupid, but he's actually an accomplished pianist. He's a smart guy. He's from Michigan. So his Froggy Fresh persona is a character. But yeah, he made it. He made a big scene back in about a decade ago. He was on Tosh.0. So he's sort of a beloved old school internet YouTube personality. And now IDUBBBZ and ANISA are current day creators who have this boxing thing called Creator Clash, and where they pair up various YouTube personalities for boxing competitions. And the current one, Creator Clash 2, is scheduled to take place in April. And one of the matchups was with Froggy Fresh and this guy Chris Raygun. And when you're doing a boxing promotion or wrestling, you create some drama, right? And one of the promoters, ANISA, also has a OnlyFans. So if you know about OnlyFans, that's where they show off their lady parts for money.
They
It's
show up their beehole for
right. So Froggy Fresh made the joke that if he loses his boxing competition with Chris Ray Gun, he'll get a subscription to Anissa's OnlyFans.
Oh my.
And, which is, again, Anissa is one of the promoters. Well, her mother saw this and started to make, started the shouting out on Twitter saying that, this imp needs to be thrown off of Creator Clash 2. And, and Froggy Fresh is very tiny. He's a short guy. So she called him an imp and said he had mental problems, he had brain damage, and that he needs to be removed. And the only thing that Froggy Fresh said,
yeah, how dare you take advantage of something that's publicly out there and for profit? How dare you?
Right, and it wasn't that bad. He didn't say anything bad about her. It was just that he would get a subscription, and right. so his response to her calling him names and stuff, I thought it was very classy. He said, "Hey, Anissa, your mom's saying some crazy stuff, calling me an imp. I don't really appreciate that. You might want to put a coat on her and take her home." I thought it was classy. I thought it was funny. Right. But and also, I think the nail in his coffin was that he went to Sam Hyde to train as far as his boxing, and there's a beef between IDUBBBZ and Sam Hyde. There's some bad blood.
Yeah, they both made a documentary about the or long form video on that.
Yeah,
which,
and again, IDUBBBZ
time to kill. It's entertaining, I guess.
Yeah, that's the guy I was talking about, Froggy Fresh. But yeah, so there's that bad blood, and IDUBBBZ is one of the the promoters of Creator Clash 2. So they decide to remove Froggy Fresh from. That's some of the old school videos that they did back in the day. Again, if you have some time, watch some Froggy Fresh videos. Those are lots of fun. So they remove him from the boxing competition with less than 3 weeks to go, and he's trained for 9 months so far for this. And so a lot of the commentary community has rallied in support of Froggy Fresh, and in it, from the surface of things, they really just removed him just out of spite. There was nothing egregious that he did to warrant him being removed. And actually, one of the Jaden, who's another YouTube personality, he said that he would donate $100,000 to the Creator Clash's charities if they put Froggy Fresh back in into the boxing. So they can't say it's about the charity, because if they really were about all about charity, then they would go ahead and take that money and put him back in. But yeah. So I really didn't know much about Froggy Fresh. I spent the weekend after I heard that just pulling up his music and enjoying his music. And he also put out on Sunday. He put out a little ballad about the whole situation. That's entertaining, and actually it's not a bad song. If you wanted to get a little bit more information about things, Tom Dark does a really good breakdown of all the tweets and all the backstories. But yeah, that's all the. Now I don't watch reality TV anymore. YouTube drama has taken the place of it. So yeah, I don't know if I recommend it to people out there, because can get kind of gnarly, because it's you're dealing with a lot of real life people, and you don't have a network that can edit out all the bad stuff. So
right. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, this is one thing. Entertainment is entertainment, and all that. Anyway, that's cool. I was gonna say, I was gonna do my pick of the week here. So I fell onto this this podcast, and I like to play in the background. It's called Concrete, and they have long form interviews, and they also have clips too. But like, it's not to be taken seriously at all. It's just entertainment from my point of view. They'll have very interesting guests. Imagine like something like where you have a more coast to coast with George Norrie type guest, like on a
Mhm.
Joe Rogan, like, but it's a little bit more longer form than that. And it's just to me, I just kind of treat it as a big fan of science fiction. All these
Mhm.
guys are doing is telling a story. Like, doesn't mean you got to believe it. It's just a story or whatever.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
well, if you take it from that lens, that perspective, it can be very interesting. When
Mhm.
they have things, it's like, they have something like, well, they all do this, but there's a pet peeve of mine that I get, not so much this one. I guess they also do major personalities too that are more serious guests, like this Coffeezilla. So they're
Mhm.
definitely very good. Basically, they're very good interviewers. And if you
Mhm.
always like, you just want to keep it in the background or something, it's always something fun to kind of go into. I think
Mhm.
Coffeezilla was on Joe Rogan as well. So he's
Mhm.
making the rounds. Good for
Yep.
him.
Yep. He's one
He's
of
done
our
a,
favorites. Yep.
yeah, he's done a lot of good,
Mhm.
internet points for him. But yeah,
Yeah.
they have
Yeah.
they
He's
have
one
a
of those that you kind of know. He's one of the good guys out there. You know that there's next month he's not going to come out with a huge scandal about him. He seems to have it on point.
yeah, and they'll also cover kind of like longer form things that have happened in the past. Some things that you're aware
Mhm.
of, some things you aren't. Like you
Mhm.
take it with a grain of salt, like with anything. But it's just
Mhm.
entertainment, and I don't think they hide that at all. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
that's a big deal. But then I wanted to swing into your comic book pick of the week.
Yep.
I saw this was like really cool looking cover,
Yeah.
potentially.
Yeah.
So have you read this or what?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah. It
going
came
on with this
out
guy?
came out last week.
All right,
Yeah. It's
cool.
written by Jed MacKay. He's one of the hot new writers currently in comic books. Anything written by him is probably going to be really good. He did a run on Black Cat, which is one of the characters from Spider-Man. Felicia, who is the the cat burglar that he falls in love with. She's sort of like one of those secondary characters that people don't really have that much of an interest in, but he
Right.
wrote a really good run on her solo comic book that got a lot of praise. He's also currently writing Moon Knight with Doctor Strange. This is they're refreshing the line. They did do a limited series called Strange. At the end of the last run of Doctor Strange, he was killed. He died.
Hmm.
And Strange was about Clea Strange, his wife, trying to bring him back to life. and
Okay.
and obviously with this number one, he's back. He's back alive. Uh, you know, none of the great characters stay dead for long. I think
No.
they stayed dead for about a couple of years. He's back now, and I really enjoyed this comic. This is sort of like him getting back into the groove of things and finding his new way of doing things. And he's he was a physical doctor. And he's decided that he's the doctor of magic now, so he's here to have help his patients with magic. In this issue, he does help Spider-Man at one point in a kind of a sticky situation. I think he accidentally sold his soul or something, and but yeah, so yeah, it's a this first issue is kind of humorous, but it ends on a kind of a darker note. So I think the future issues will kind of have a more darker stance to it. But I didn't realize, I'm not a huge fan of of Shield. Nick Fury's Shield. I didn't know they had a branch of Shield that focused on magic called Wand, WAND, and that was kind of reintroduced in Strange, and it looks like it's going to be part of this series as well. But
Okay.
yeah, I would. You could read this going forward, but it references some stuff that happened in Strange, so I would definitely recommend reading Strange. I'm sure it's out in graphic novel form now. And it's written by Jed MacKay as well, so it's written in that same style. So I would definitely recommend Strange graphic novel, and I recommend this new series, Doctor Strange.
Oh, sorry. I think I had a little bit of a hiccup there.
Okay.
I think I'm back. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, but you said you definitely recommend Strange here.
Okay. Yeah, your movie.
What I heard. Yeah. Hopefully I'm back. But anyway, yeah, I was gonna say, and that kind of brings us up to the end of the show. I did save this to anything else to add before I go in?
No, I think you have the floor.
Cool. Yeah. I have been meaning to do this forever, and I finally got to it. And I went skydiving on not too long ago, and that's just a little quick picture I just want to throw up there. But it was very fun, very exciting, and I'll be doing it again.
You're a braver man than me, but yeah, I watched the video you posted of it, and was really impressed. Yeah, the look fun. If I had the guts to do it, I'm sure I would enjoy it. But yeah, I don't think I could get up there and make the jump.
There was one point like where you get to the door. Of course, you're in this little kind of Cessna little engine plane, and you're if you've ever been on an airplane and you feel that turbulence, it's kind of spread out because you're on a really big plane. But when you're on a smaller one, you can kind of dip a little bit, and it's normal. But the hardest part was just like that, getting up to the door, and then you have this blast of wind. And it's like, do I want to do this? I'm already here. Just go do it. So pretty crazy to like be flipping upside down and then see, like, wait, hold on, the plane's up there. I'm here, and there's down. It's kind of wild, but it's a rush. It was fun. Anyway, not much to toot my own horn, but that was fun.
You made me think of. Did you see the that last Jackass movie?
Oh no, I didn't. No, I honestly, I'm kind of done with those guys. Like, but I'll follow from afar. From like, there's like one. I think it's Steve-O. I think who he'll pop up here once in a while, like on podcasts, like on different YouTubers.
Yeah, he has has his own podcast. Yeah.
But no, did you see?
Yeah, the last one? You skydiving made me think of a skit they did in it. One of the new members they've introduced some new Jackass members, but one of them, their father used to be in gangs, but one of the things he's deathly afraid of is heights, and they talk him into skydiving for one of their skits, and they get him up into that one of those planes just like you were in, that's kind of rattling around up there, and he's oh my god, but they had the pilot, the supposed pilot, come out and go, it's going down, and he jumps from the plane. They're like, oh my god, we've got to fly, we've got to get out of here.
Oh my god,
the guy's like freaking out. And
Poor guy.
They jump, and he's screaming the whole way. He thinks he's going to die. But yeah,
that's funny. Oh yeah, I was gonna say the company that I went with was if you're in the St. Louis area, it's called Skydiving STL. Oh man, they're great guys. I know why they all have a big smile on their face. I know exactly why. It's because they get to do this all the time. But they're very, very accommodating. They let you know what to do. They were very reassuring. Wonderful, positive experience, and it's going to set me off on probably on a path to figure this out, because I really have an interest in paramotoring at some point, which is like you have a parachute, probably a bigger one, I think, and then you have an engine either strapped to your back or like on a very light cart, and you can essentially take off anywhere. There's a lot of skill to it, but like at some point I'd like to explore that territory. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you were working at that time, but back at our old place where we both worked at, there was another coworker, Larry, who he got into skydiving as well, and he kept praising it. He went back several times, and every time he tried to talk some of us coworkers into going with him. He was never able to convince me, but yeah. So the bug is bitten you, yeah.
Oh yeah. Once you do it, it's kind of like it's not too different from when I learned how to ride a motorcycle. I always wanted to, and it's just like, well, why not? Why wait anymore? Go figure it out. But so motorcycles a little bit more on the ground than that. But not surprisingly, most of those instructors have their own bike, so I totally understand. It's like hand in glove for those two activities, I suppose, as they are. But anyway, so I really wanted to kind of end on a high note here, and if you stumbled upon us, welcome. We'd love to see it. Again, I want to say thank you to our we got a big rush of new fans from our Scott Dyson interview, which was very fun, which I need to bring up here so we can see it proper. Yep, there we go. There, I had to refresh it. Anyway, so we're always looking for feedback. If you want to see more coverage on this or that or whatever, and also you want to check out our last show where we covered John Byrne, and that's coming up here short. That should be here if I refresh the screen. In any case, I've been Mike.
I'm Thomas, and this is the first last Nerdom. And again, put Froggy Fresh back on the card. Creator Clash 2. But like and subscribe, and see you next week.